Humans and machines both have hearing problems. Humans do a really good job at understanding real world sound, but we can't edit and filter sound like machines. On the other hand, machines struggle with noise and human level nuance. For example, a self-driving car might struggle with the difference between a siren and an EDM song being played close to the call. Or you go into a bar, we as humans do okay in those kinds of environments. We may not like it, but I can understand the person who's talking next to me. But a machine, a transcription engine, for example, would have a difficulty understanding what exactly is happening in that conversation with all that noise around it. And that's why Audioshake exists. We aim to make sound usable for both humans and machines. And we do that through audio separation, or something called source separation, which splits sound into its component parts. And I'm Jessica Powell, the CEO and co-founder of Audioshake, and thank you for having me here today. So we can take audio that sounds like this.
Ignition and liftoff of the Space Shuttle Discovery, returning to the space station, paving the way.
And we could just isolate and pull out what matters.
And liftoff of the Space Shuttle Discovery, returning to the space station.
Now, in that case, we were separating a voice from a wall of sound. But what's cool about source separation is that you're not just separating the signal from the noise, you can even separate the signal from the signal. So you can separate one voice that's talking over another voice, a piano that's happening at the same time as a guitar, and really get into the granular components of sound. Now, sound isn't easy for a machine to understand. What you're looking at here is the spectrogram, so the image of audio. And we have on the y-axis frequency, on the x-axis we have time. And other than that, there's not a whole lot that we know. I guess also amplitude or loudness. But otherwise, we don't know, is this a conversation between two people? Is it a film? Is it a piece of music? Is it someone standing on a busy street corner? All we have is what you can see right there. Now, there are other challenges too. There's usually in real world sound or noisy sound, like a sports stadium or a film or music, all of that is noise, even though we would think of it as really rich sound. There's a high overlapping frequency. Second, we don't know how this sound has been recorded. Is it, what room it's happening in, or in what place in the world it's happening? And all those can affect your ability to separate effectively. And finally, different sounds have different characteristics that might require different architectures or different Fourier transforms. So this is what Audioshake focuses on. First, what we do is we're working on the image of audio, and we first are identifying specific sounds. So this is a siren, this is a voice. And we essentially color in the different sounds. And then what we're going to do is we are going to silence or black out all the pixels that don't correspond to the thing that we're searching for. So in this case, the model is searching for speaker 1. And it's going to color that in and leave everything else out. And all you're going to be left with is speaker 1. Now, one of the things with source separation is you are taking large audio files and you're passing them through large deep learning models, and then you're outputting them often in high resolution as well. And all of that is slow. But there's a lot of use cases that you can unlock if you can make these models fast. The problem is that you've got large models and you want them fast. So then you want to make the models small and lightweight. But then you're going to see a trade-off on quality. So there's always a dance that you're doing between how fast you can make these, but still keeping them really, really high quality. So bigger models outperform smaller models on quality. Second, the models benefit more from more time context. So the smaller the chunk that you're feeding in, the less context for separation. And that's relevant if you're thinking about what kind of buffer size you have at the start. Finally, edge devices normally only support a subset of operations or only perform it on a subset of operations. So for example, what you might do to run on an iPhone isn't necessarily going to work when you go take that to Android. But this is what we focus on at Audioshake, is we focus very, very specifically on both performance and quality. And that allows us then to outperform open source by a significant margin. So we look, for example, at our vocal model, where we've set the state-of-the-art benchmark. We are several orders of magnitude better on quality, which is called the SDR score, than the open source model that is commonly used. Similarly, on performance, because we're very, very focused on that and can also do platform-specific optimizations, we can get much, much greater speedups while still retaining high quality. And when you can do sound separation in both post-production, human creative, kind of editing intensive workflows, as well as at scale machine applications that tend to need to be really fast, you can open up a wide range of use cases. So let's talk about how you use source separation to help the humans. So if we start by thinking about something really creative like music, well, with music, you can use Audioshake to separate a piece of music into its different instrument stems. So separate the vocals from the drums, the bass, the lead vocal from the backing. And that allows you to do things like the kind of work that we've done with De La Soul or Nina Simone, where you're able to split those albums and place the different sound objects, again, the voice or the drums, in different perceptual fields so that you get a surround sound or spatialized audio effect. So great for immersive audio. In real time, we're in applications like DJ Pro, and that allows you to DJ and remix in real time. In film, one of the very first projects we worked on was the iconic TV show Doctor Who. And there, all that was available was the full mix of the audio. So all of the sci-fi sound effects of Doctor Who, the actors, any music, and even the director's commentary, all on the same track. And what we were able to do was split those into their different components, and that then allowed them to put a German dub on top of the original sci-fi effects and music. In broadcast environments, you might want the ability to be able to boost or lower certain sounds. So imagine a newscaster is doing a press conference at a noisy construction site. Well, you probably don't want to cut the construction noise entirely. It's part of the reason that the newscaster is there. You still want the presence of the construction site, but you don't want a loud drill interrupting what the person is saying. So you can just isolate that background and turn it down a little bit and make for a better viewing experience. Similarly, music often is caught in the background of the UGC or broadcast, and it means that a lot of clips are left on the cutting room floor, so to speak, and can't be published to things like social. But with Audioshake, you can actually extract the music, but retain all the natural speech as well as the sound effects, the squeaks of the sneakers on the basketball court, and just remove the music that might get you into trouble. So now let me just show you a quick video that walks you through some of these use cases and shows you how Audioshake is used in a lot of real-world applications.
I've been feeling kinda down a lot. Yeah, I stare at the ceiling, but there's nothing there. I got the feeling, won't you come with me to a higher place so we can.
It's like a dream come true, isn't it, really?
We talked about nerves and coming into a game like this, just the magnitude of this game, massive game. Was there a hangover at all from last season, the result and the coming to a stadium?
Everything I do is financed by me, so you're not to worry, it's contributed. Just like my salary is contributed, but nobody ever mentions that. Sir, you're gonna add another level.
Couldn't be more mistaken. We're here to help you.
By deactivating them.
Absolut, ja. Dort hat sich was eingenistet, Noah.
I think that you should get an airport. No, I think that you should get to an airport like 30 minutes before boarding maximum. I want to walk right through security.
You enjoy it, you lounge. That's why it's called a lounge.
Until the music's through, I just love the way.
To dive a level deeper, let's look at one orchestration that uses Audioshake. So let's look at the copyright compliance use case. You have a media file that comes in, and Audioshake is first going to detect the presence of music, even in these noisy environments, which can sometimes be challenging because you have crowd noise and people speaking, and then music that's playing very, very faintly in the background. We can identify that music, and then we extract that music. We create a version that has no music at all. So the dialogue, the effects, but no music. At the same time, we run rights recognition against the extracted music. If the customer sees that that music belongs to them in the metadata, they're just going to publish the clip as it came because it's theirs. But if, for example, that is popular music and they don't want to use it, that allows them to immediately publish the Audioshake edited clip and allows them to keep, say, that shot of the basketball player making the basket, the crowd going wild, and they then get to share that with all of their fans without the risk of running into huge copyright fines. Now let's turn our attention to the machines. First, if we think about voice, as I was talking about earlier, if you think about a noisy environment, a bar, or a whole bunch of, you're trying to use your note transcriber in a loud environment, that's where a lot of the voice AI workflows tend to fall down. They're generally really good, except when you get into these scenarios where there's a lot of noise. So there, Audioshake is used by a lot of companies to first isolate the voice in low latency and provide a really clean speech input into those ASR or voice AI systems. And that's going to give you a boost in the accuracy. So if you've ever seen a sports match and seen the captioning go kind of haywire at a moment, this is the kind of thing that Audioshake addresses. And now if we're looking at how that gets orchestrated, I'll talk you through two workflows that involve both voice AI and then dubbing. So you have the file. Audioshake is going to split and isolate the voice. And if you want it, we'll also isolate any of the background audio, music and effects, for example. You're then going to run that, for example, through ASR and captioning, or maybe you're just going right into some sort of voice AI workflow, or you're cloning the voice. But either way, you're getting a really clean input into that system. Now, if you're doing something like dubbing, then what you would also do is take that isolated music and effects track and stitch it back together with your output. And that's going to give you a localized file. So you've taken, say, English language input, isolated the background, run that voice through, say, ASR, synthetic voice, and now you have a Turkish output that you're going to stitch together with music and effects. And it sounds just like the original. Another thing that you can do is use Audioshake to separate generative output. So it's really amazing and wild to see just how far a lot of the generative media models have come. But when you take a step back and think about how humans create without computers, how we draw or paint or make music, it's still actually kind of primitive, right? Our ability to make edits along the way, though this is getting better and better each day. What Audioshake allows you to do is actually let the human come in and have an iterative process with the machine, or let the machine have an iterative process with the machine. So for example, if you output a piece of music and you don't like that guitar and you want to replace it with a ukulele, you would use Audioshake stem separation to isolate the different instruments, remove the guitar, and then tell the system, replace the guitar with a ukulele. Or in a video model, being able to, edit the music or the effects without having to start from scratch and regenerate the entire piece. Finally, let's talk about multimodal training. If we want machines to be able to operate in the real world with human level sophistication, they're going to need to be able to see and hear and speak like humans. An area where Audioshake is doing a lot of work right now is in multimodal training. So for example, if you wanted to train really good voice models, in your ideal world, you would train on tens of millions, hundreds of millions of audio conversations so that you could really understand how humans talk to each other. The filler words, the laughs, the little things that we do that are really subtle that most voice models today don't yet capture. But it's actually really hard to go out and get that data because we don't sit around tape recording every single conversation we have, which is a good thing. But if you could actually take lots of recorded conversations and separate them into their different parts, then you would start to be able to get at that level of nuance. And that's what Audioshake can do. We can take, say, podcasts and interviews and isolate the different speakers and what they're saying into different streams. And that's going to help the models get better. On the video side, you might be training on video because what a great way to learn the interplay between the physical world and objects and vision along with sound. But a lot of the video content that you might be licensing might have third-party music in it. Well, Audioshake can come in and we can just remove the music so that you're just training on, say, the dialogue and the effects. There's all kinds of ways that once you are able to break sound down into its component parts, you can make these models a lot better and a lot more sophisticated. So as you head out today and leave your house and are maybe on a busy street corner or simply in your yard and you hear children playing and people talking and yelling and maybe a siren goes by, all of these things that are second nature to you in terms of understanding the world and how all these components interact, a lot of this is still pretty abstract for machines. And it's actually really exciting to think about how something like source separation can help machines get better at understanding the real world and eventually help these machines aid us in everyday tasks to make our lives easier. Thank you.